It's 7:40. So does anyone want to talk a little bit about what happened last game?
Last game. What happened last game?
Time to crack open the notebook.
Hey, glad someone's been taking notes. Because I haven't been, because I'm a badnik. Let's see, if memory serves, we arrived in, what did we call it?
These house
Bolt?
in the city of Rosanna.
Bolt hole?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I called it.
Alright, called it a bolt hole. Yeah, these safe house where Cure and Almika and V arrived shortly afterwards to meet us. We discussed our plans and decided to rest for the evening. Before resting up, the new guard decided to pay their respects to the dead by a strange ritual of acknowledging last rites, yep, where they acknowledged the names of the fallen and took a shot of horrible, terrible, soul-crushing liquor for each person on that list. Seamus joined them and didn't make a fool of himself, but it wasn't his game. He managed to avoid retching, and I think that's a personal victory for him. After that, he was barely drunk, barely sober enough to move. Everyone went their own way. People went to sleep. Other people went and found their way to different areas to talk or nap.
He gave Cure a hug, that's worth noting.
He did give Cure a hug.
Yes, that was an aberrant behavior. Our changeling's been replaced by a doppelganger. V got briefed about what was to happen with the timeline, as well as the plans for the adventurers, and was volunteered. He didn't volunteer, he was volunteered.
He was voluntold.
Voluntold by Almika that you do this thing. Unfortunately for him. People adjourned for the evening. Morning came around. Almika and Alina went to town, back to the pin, I believe, to sell to a different town.
Alina is with you all.
Alina's here. So was it Almika that left? Not that. Was it Nika?
Nope.
Was it Ghost?
It was Yuri and his wife went back, didn't they?
Yuri. Yes, Yuri had to be talked into returning back to the city.
Yuri, Almika, Joanna, and Cassandra went back.
That sounds about right.
The new guard is still with us.
The new guard is still with us. Well, except for Yuri.
A good chunk of them, yeah.
The majority of the new guard. So we were planning to make our way out sooner than later. We got some rations taken care of, went over what we had, went over our plans, and I think we were just getting ready to go before last game ended.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Okay. Just giving Sam half a second to get in. Hey. Hmm. What you doing? I don't care if he's sitting there quietly playing with his fox. It's fine. Quietly playing works for me. Because eventually quietly playing will lay down and go to sleep, hopefully. Okay, Sam, do you have anything to add to the recap last game? Anything you want to note specifically?
My character tried to join in on the funeral rites and did not do as well, but he stuck through the whole thing. He was very drunk and stayed hungover until some point at breakfast, and then had whatever breakfast had been offered to him, and then popped the portion right when everyone was getting ready to leave. That's about it.
Okay. As you all leave the city of Roshana, you notice that as you get further and further away from the city, the light gets brighter and brighter, almost like a sunrise. Leaving the walls, you leave past a long, desolate road with guards on either side of it. They're not posted close together, probably one every 50 to 100 yards or so. But they are there, keeping watch over the wastelands.
Noting the guards who are just overlooking this desolate area, Macklin moves over toward V and quietly pipes up. There's an awful lot of attention being paid to the wastes. Are you expecting visitors?
Well, we tend to be watchful.
And the wastelands are the same as the ghostlands, right?
Yeah, the Ghostlands.
Well, with a name like the Ghostlands, I suppose I can't blame you. Did things simply show up? Manifest?
It's happened.
Nika actually pipes up from the back. Yes, actually, and the incursions get worse about this time of the month.
Incursion.
It's coming up on the new moon, and that tends to bring out the spooks.
I see.
As they left the house, Kior would probably take some time to summon Edgar. So she'd be riding on the back of her great black war horse as they enter the Ghostlands.
Okay, you are riding and everyone else is walking.
Yep.
That'll be or not.
Why are they called the Ghostlands? What kind of specters are there? Was there a war there?
Roll me a religion check.
Four.
Yeah, was there a war here? Give me a moment.
I know nothing about this conflict.
Same. I mean, I might know some hearsay, but this is Encarel over again.
So you get a bit of an incredulous look from Alina as you ask, was there a war here? And she does snort a little bit as she kind of shakes her head. These are the grounds of Gordranus, where the betrayer gods face down. Really? None of this?
There's a moment of blank stare, and then I'm like,
The calamity.
oh.
Death, doom, destruction.
The prime deities, the divine gate, none of that.
Let us just say that there was a reason I became a Talon and not a cleric.
Uh-huh. Anyway, so the prime deities faced the betrayer gods, and each of their armies faced off on these fields. This is where Ayun captured the Chained Oblivion. And this is where, let's just say nothing sleeps well here. Ayun took a near fatal blow. The rites of the prime banishment were successfully enacted for the first time. The divine gate was erected, blocking the divine from... Sorry. Did you just roll again?
What, me?
Oh, like your roll just came through for me.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Anyway.
wow.
So, this is where the divine gate was erected to keep both the betrayer gods and the prime deities away from their followers.
And Hallister's tower is here?
Through here, yes.
Suppose that makes a certain perverted kind of sense.
But where would you go if you didn't want to be plagued by visitors?
And I was a mad wizard.
At least he has a tower.
He couldn't call himself a wizard if he didn't. As I think back to Almika's tower.
Nika kinda laughs. That's correct, I'm only half a wizard because I don't have a tower yet.
It's a rite of passage, I imagine.
Didn't Odrin have an apartment? Not exactly a tower.
He was
Still-
also kicked out of the city, wasn't he?
Well, the point I'm making is it's not the size of your tower, it's how you use the space.
Okay. What do you
I don't
say?
know. Most wizards seem to have a very impressive tower.
I mean, if you want to show it off and be a target.
I assume by that point in their lives they're not afraid of anyone challenging them. At that point, Kior pauses and kind of cocks her head to the side a little, thinking about that. I wonder if that's why they build the tower.
An invitation?
To show off, or...
A warning. If a wizard has reached the point in their life where they've built a tower for themselves, then they reached a point in their lives when they're fully capable of defending themselves.
I thought it was simply a practical thing.
That doesn't particularly track.
Have you ever met a wizard who lived in a tower who couldn't handle himself?
Perhaps it's more of a mark of prestige.
How many wizards have you met?
There's a long pause before Kior answers. Enough.
So, 2. Maybe 3.
And you've met more?
Well, I have met Lady Allura. Um,
I've
I
known
would,
Allura as well.
and yet she has no tower.
She did
She
have a
did at
tower.
one time.
She had a tower, did not make a new tower in her new home. Could have made a new tower, possibly, but did not.
Alina sighs, frustrated. Yes, she did make a new tower in her new home.
Powerful
Well,
wizard
true.
built a tower. My theory tracks.
You know, I heard tell of a wizard one time that did not have a tower.
Really? What was his name?
Oh, please tell me this is a naughty limerick on the way.
No, it had an M in one of my books. I'll just maybe I'll tell you more about it after I figure out how to do what he did.
That sounds like a man who hasn't prepared a naughty limerick.
Uh,
Or someone buying time to compose a story?
Well, a bard's gone a bard.
well,
And
I mean,
wizards are
you've
going to
seen
build a
my, you've seen what I can do for the house I conjure every night. I could. This wizard did the same thing, but only needs a door. And I'm still looking into it.
How do you know the door doesn't lead to a tower?
It.
If I had a door that accessed wherever I wanted, it would lead more than one place.
Like a tower.
It is referred to as a mansion, not a tower.
Mansions are just wide towers.
A mansion is not a wide tower. It is in fact called a magnificent mansion. Something that.
Well, that's just a subjective statement of grandeur.
Okay, a tower. One can say a tower is a tower, yes. But the towers that you most commonly see are very, 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 very tall, extravagant things. Where the mansion is not a very, very tall, extravagant thing. It is a ostentatious, extravagant thing. A little bit different.
What are you rolling for, Macklin?
I'm just keeping my eyes out while these shenanigans happen.
Okay, good to know.
Almika's tower wasn't terribly large.
The cave kind of reined it in.
Exactly, but it's still a tower.
You know what, Cure? No.
Perhaps it's an affliction of the mind, a sort of mass hysteria that afflicts all wizards, to build upward. Someone should document that.
Document or study? How many wizards have you met?
Yeah, a handful here and there.
Kira just kind of chuckles as she rides. Clearly not taking the conversation nearly as seriously as she made out to be.
So, Macklin, with that perception check, you realize that Alina has let her eyes go black and has kind of just put her hand on Edgar's bridle and is using that to kind of guide her. And you do see the black crow kind of flying above you.
I keep note of it. 4 eyes are better than 2. So about how long does it take to walk through these ghost lands?
For where we're going, it'll probably take a day and a half to get there. Depending on how much trouble we get into.
Huh, fair enough. I'm sure the riveting conversation can keep us occupied.
as you guys argue about towers and wizards and your knowledge of wizards and whether Gilmore's library counts as a tower or whether his shops
It's more like a
counted.
mansion. A wide tower.
Okay. I need all of you to roll me a d20, just a flat d20.
I feel like this
14.
calls for my cure dice. Let me find it.
Oh, I should have actually rolled a roll. Whoops. Took out my die and just left it there.
Still can't get these things right.
That's what I get for rolling in my dice tray.
Oh my goodness, dogs.
I'm about to say, that's not on our end this time.
Are those the neighbor's dogs?
We refer to this as the howls of the damned because they do this every time the phone rings.
Oh no.
And if they'd stop calling different numbers. That's the third phone.
Oh, that must be driving the dogs crazy.
None of them are mine.
The phone's the dogs.
Both.
Well, shit.
Okay.
You should move into a tower.
Because this is too
Obviously.
because this is too perfect. In the distance, you do hear the baying of wolves, but they don't seem close enough to bother you.
That's wonderful.
Oh, wolves aren't too bad. Not the best conversationalists.
Well, we know to expect spirits and likely the undead in the Ghostlands. Are there any other beasts we should be aware of?
Well, there are always other rifts to the Shadowfell.
I'm gonna notice Alina walking beside Edgar and lower my voice so I address just her. Would you like to ride behind me while you do that?
No, this is fine, she says, kind of waves you off. I'm used to it.
If you insist.
So occasionally things come out of the abyss. Or the
Oh,
Shadowfell.
lovely.
They've had problems with both. The Empire has made these interesting little tools that open up rifts. Nika says, sarcastically.
That sounds more problematic than it seems.
Why on earth would someone open a rift to the abyss? Do they have any idea what they're welcoming into this world?
Chaos. Sometimes that's all you need.
Alina kind of shrugs her shoulders. Destabilize the government. Drive out the drow, preferably. And retake the lands for themselves.
And then deal with the continent of gibbering monsters that you've unleashed.
Well, they have a large standing army, so...
Not much different from poisoning the water hole. Yes, your soldiers will be poisoned too, but you have more soldiers.
And of course, they conscript soldiers from every country that they take, so... And Alina just kind of shrugs her shoulders. She is very aware of the political situation in this country, and her own country.
Well, it certainly sounds like a situation to keep an eye on once we get back. Not that we weren't going to do that already.
Their opening of the rifts is relatively recent, to be honest. Probably in the only last year or two. Mostly the rifts were naturally occurring, but they found a way.
Sounds like the walk of desperate madmen. It's almost hard to believe that after all this time, the largest threat to this world isn't Vecna, but some empire a continent away.
If the undead don't kill you, the politics will.
You hear Lena kind of snort and giggle at that one. Alright, are you guys stopping for lunch?
If only to avoid exhaustion.
Indeed. It's a good enough time to pause.
So you guys travel. Sorry?
As we get further and further, do we still see the same number of posted guards, or does that number increase, decrease?
So actually, at a certain about 2 hours in, you turn off of the main road, and start heading into the Ghostlands proper. And at that point, the guards are gone. They only guard the road.
Oh, rad.
And they do give you kind of nods as you guys enter. That was about 2 hours ago that you saw your last living person. Other than each other. So you stop. Oh, go ahead.
I take it the residents don't push very far into this place.
Nika actually speaks up on that. Sort of. On the edges around the city, then yes, they do, just for lack of any other place to live, but... Well, as far as we're going, no. Alright, and at that point is when you guys stop for lunch. The temperature is actually fairly nice, despite the fact that it's not a full dust storm, but you guys are getting a little bit of sand everywhere. There's nothing really to see, it's all just kind of barren, desolate landscape. But the sun is up.
I see the weather is cooperating.
Actually, as both Alina and V would, and as Alina's eyes return to normal, both Alina and V pull out dark shaded glasses and put them on.
Mm-hmm.
I cock my head at Alina.
She just shrugs her shoulders at you. You guys have some lunch, water, rest from your walking for a little bit. Doesn't everyone roll me perception checks, please?
What the fuck was that in the background?
That was me.
11.
4. I'm daydreaming.
You're very confused as to why Alina's wearing dark glasses and are not paying attention to anything else.
Daydreamer.
Okay. Everyone who rolled above a 15, you occasionally hear the sounds of battle far away. They're not close, but they do echo through the canyon.
Can I tell which way down the canyon it's coming from?
Roll me a survival check. With an 18, yeah, it seems to be kind of omnipresent, unfortunately. There doesn't seem to be a specific direction it's coming from.
So same direction we're walking in, the direction we're walking away from.
Yeah,
Everywhere
it's
seems it's coming from it?
omnidirectional. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very faint. It's not exceptionally loud. It's just on the edges of your attention.
Every so often, my head will just like twitch to one side as I like try to focus on one of the sounds, and then just let my attention go back to the road.
Okay. Anyone want to do anything during lunch?
He is being privately amused about this whole tower argument when he has one himself. Not that they saw it.
So, when we get to the edge of the Ghostlands, will we be camping again, or do we expect this tower to arise by then?
Well, I imagine we'll camp this evening and then head either where the tower is going to be or close to where we think the tower is going to be, and then finish up in the morning. Alina kind of says with a shrug of her shoulders.
That makes good sense.
That way you all go in well rested.
Other than eating, I'll have Whisper out, and I'll just be singing one of the songs that I have, like the Song of Healing, but instead of actually doing the proper incantation words, I'm just doing the notes while looking at it, trying to figure out what I need to do.
Okay, practicing?
Yep.
Alrighty. Alright, you all have a quiet lunch, get packed up, and head on out. It never gets particularly bright. It definitely seems. It looks like it would be kind of a gray day, even if you guys weren't at the outskirts of Rosanna.
It's rather gloomy here. I suppose if the ground weren't tainted and desolate, it still wouldn't bear much growth. What with the sun being as it is.
I mean, if this is a battlefield, or the remnants of a battlefield of a giant battle between the gods and the primordials, or whatever you want to call them. I'm surprised it's not a giant crate. Oh. And then I look around at the fact that we're in a canyon, I just stop talking.
Does it appear that we're in a giant crater?
Roll a perception check.
As Kira looks around to see what Ice noticed.
That's a crit.
11.
Macklin, you kind of look around and you could see it.
Huh. How horrifying.
If it is a crater, it's absolutely ginormous. It's huge.
I glance at Alina and arch an eyebrow behind my mask, but don't say anything.
Okay.
Up until now, I've chalked a lot of the calamity mythos up to hyperbole, mysticism, but yes, this is rather large.
Cataclysmic?
Yes, it lives up to the name.
Biblically apocalyptic comes to mind.
Well, perhaps not apocalyptic, but definitely ended the world in this one particular area. Broke the sun and turned the ground to sand. I suppose we can look forward to that should Vecna win. This seems like his, he'd be into this style of
Decorating?
decoration, yes, the lack thereof.
I'm not sure, after seeing how little relative danger he poses in this future. Perhaps he is simply one obstacle in the way of a larger enemy. Something to brood on upon our return, I suppose.
Are you referring to the politics again?
Perhaps.
I don't think something of this magnitude is within the capacity of man to produce. Well, then.
If they are opening rifts into the abyss, then I would not put it past them.
Folly.
We don't know who's opening the rifts to the abyss here. So it might not be anything that we have any part of, and it might not happen until recently. Something outside of our purview. We might be able to give advance notice, but I doubt people would take the word of 3 strangers that don't belong in their lands.
Especially human ones.
I touch my nose and I point at her.
Nika kind of smiles at you and shrugs her shoulders.
They did tell us this morning that it was the Empire's doing.
Yes, and the Empire is what again?
An Empire?
I pinch the bridge of my nose, and then I point around the group, and like I pointedly make sure to point at everyone except V. What do all of these people have in common?
A low sense of self-preservation?
Wow. I'm hurt, Kyo. Honestly. Truthfully.
I mean,
I mean
You
it with
could
all
argue
the
these
endearment I can
separate.
muster, but
okay, fine. I will spell it out for you. They are all variants on humans, except for our friend here, who is Drow. And we just came from a city that was mostly Drow, with a bunch of other races that are considered monsters where we come from. Now,
what
what do
bearing
you
does
think
that
the
have on the
Empire
Empire
is?
opening rifts into the abyss?
They would not trust us if we told them because
Tell the
we are
Empire?
humans. No, oh my god.
I
You are
turn and look to
deliberately
Alina. Am
being
I missing
pedantic.
something?
He believes that if you went to tell the Bride Queen that the Empire was opening rifts within her kingdom, she would not believe you because you are a human variant.
The way that you made it sound, I thought it was common knowledge.
It is now.
Which is what I'm talking about. It is recent, or so we just heard, or moderately recent. If we finish what we're doing in our home, we have to wait how many years before we try and tell them? And even then, we have to somehow barter a truce as humans. Yeah, I don't see that going over well.
Well, if
I'm,
memory serves, was the Kryn dynasty not already reaching toward the Daldoris in our time? Shortly after we disappeared, no?
My mother reached out to them.
Oh, well, vice versa.
I only mention the rifts in reference of a threat that could possibly eclipse Vecna. Something capable of... I just kind of sweep my arm around the area around us, ushering a second this.
That very well could be a problem, but back in our time, it's not the problem.
Indeed.
But it would seem that the seeds of collaboration are already being sown. If not in our time now, then shortly after we disappeared.
Alrighty then, actually. Alina kind of rubs her eyes and you see the bird above you fade as she looks to you all. My mother reached out to the Kryn dynasty, gosh, probably the moment she became Lord High Commander of Whitestone.
Perhaps after some mingling and massaging of the relationship, we could give them such a warning of the future. Well, of course, the relationships are better and our credibility is less likely to be questioned. Or perhaps V has some kind of password that he gives to time travelers in such occasions.
V, do you have a password you give to time travelers?
I don't know that I was thinking that far ahead at that age.
Basically an 8-year-old, so probably not.
Oh, I thought V was much older.
And V's a drow. Oh god, he's just a teenager.
Oh, God. He's just a baby. He's younger than Macklin.
And nobody notices.
He was 8 when we left. It's been 21 years, so V's actually about 30. He's actually older than you are.
No,
But in
I said
elven
he was
terms.
like an 8-year-old. Besides, you wouldn't know that in character because I said it outside of game.
Well, sure. Okay.
Well, you know what they say, black don't crack, especially for drow. Hard to tell after the age 20.
What?
What? This is out of character.
Okay, so shall we slide back into character?
That'd be a good idea.
No, after the Empire conquered Zemnia, my mother had some hard feelings towards the Empire and reached out to the Kryn dynasty instead. Cure, roll a history check. Actually, Cure and Macklin can roll a history check.
All right.
4.
Yeah.
7.
Nope. That means nothing to you.
Do I need to roll 1 too?
You can if you'd like.
Oh, why not? I like history.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Apparently, I
Well,
know
this
everything.
this is his history, so of course he's going to
No,
know
it's
what's
not.
going on.
It's actually your history.
Oh.
V, being
Found
the
a letter.
paranoid book reader that you are, you know exactly why the Tal'Dorei, or why a Tal'Dorei would reach out to the Kryn dynasty instead of reaching out to the Empire, despite being human. Because the royal family, at least the mother of the royal family, Salda Tal'Dorei, was originally a Zemnian princess. The Zemnian royal family was killed when the when the Empire took over and conquered Zemnia.
Ooh.
I was probably alive for this.
No, this was
No.
a bit before your time.
Darn.
So, what remains of Zemnian royalty flows in Tal'Dorei veins?
This sounds like the sort of politics Drow are raised on. It kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it honestly, it's probably a fact you picked up on because it's so, Matt. It's like, oh, of course, 3 + 3 = 6.
Backstabbing and death equals grudges.
Anyway, but you're the only one that knows, so you and Alina, I guess. And
Cure ponders this as they proceed.
Well, I'm sure getting the word out to them won't be too difficult. Supposing all things go according to plan.
One threat at a time, I suppose. Vecna first, and then we turn our attentions eastward. Well, I say we, but that's more of a political battle than a religious one. And we march onward.
and you march onward. Slowly but surely, night falls, and the sky grows dark, but not completely dark, as you see flashes of lights here and there, the occasional ball of green light darting here and there throughout the landscape, not seeming to be threatening you.
Will that be a nature check?
Sure. Nature or survival. Or arcana, even.
Oh, jeez, it's a 1.
Lightning
Sure.
bugs, you should go chase it.
Oh, joy. I mean, it's an 8 total, but
You're not sure what it is, but you probably shouldn't chase it. Macklin, you're pretty sure that is a killer lightning bug.
Like killer, as in like it'll kill you, or
No, like killer as in like awesome.
oh, what is?
Don't follow the lights.
Those are the biggest fireflies I've ever seen. What are
What
they doing
lights?
with that?
As I look out into the distance, and I think I know what they are, but what would I roll?
Nature, Arcana, or Survival.
Survival it is. Yeah.
Yeah, lightning bugs.
Huh. I don't trust lights in a haunted land.
I'd like to know just how they're sustaining themselves. There's no vegetation for miles.
Yeah, lightning
Magic.
bugs.
This is
Very clearly lightning bugs.
the
I'm
point
gonna-
where we had found a spot to stay, right?
You can definitely. You guys are walking forward. You can definitely choose this to be the spot where you stay.
Okay, people. It's night. Are we still moving, or are we actually going to take a rest and worry about moving again in the morning?
How much fuel's left in the tank?
I'd say it's getting about 7:30.
User entered your channel.
Yeah, I would expect at the end of our marching day that we would probably find a good campsite to settle down.
A good campsite out here.
So as you all start talking about those killer-ass lightning bugs, you see Nika kind of just rub her eyes and go, "No, those are will-o'-the-wisps, and if you follow them, they will murder you."
Can I make a check knowing the name?
Sure.
Oh, that was my second guess.
14. History.
Yeah, those are will-o'-the-wisps, and if you follow them, they will murder you.
Oh. Oh, they are not what I imagined them to look like. I thought they were balls of fire, not delightful lightning bugs.
They're undead specters.
Well, they seem rather docile for undead.
That's because you haven't followed them yet.
Oh, I suppose it's true. You have to engage, don't you?
I just nod.
Welcome, Pelion. You guys are standing in the Ghostlands, debating on whether or not to stop for the night. It's about 7:30, and you see will-o'-the-wisp starting off in the foreground.
It's probably not wise to spend the night in a land that is known for ghosts, and I will say that it's not wise to camp anywhere near these particular creatures.
Seamus, if you create that magical, mystical, magnificent abode of yours, is it protected from undead things, or can they waltz right in?
Like will-o'-the-wisps don't just go through walls, do
I
they?
don't know. A moment ago, I thought they were fireflies.
I mean, at any time during our travels, if things like that could have gotten in, they should have. But again, I haven't really, outside of random stories of Boogeyman for Will-o'-the-Wisp, I have no knowledge on them.
Well, we don't really have an option other than camping out here in the Ghostlands, so it's either here or we continue to press on for maybe a chance at a better spot if you think you might be able to find one.
I think either way, I'd feel safer inside of an abode. As much as I like to camp beneath the stars, those are some big fireflies.
I always assumed that we would be summoning the house to spend the night in. If we summon it on a fair summer evening, then certainly we would call upon it now in the middle of this undead wasteland.
Perhaps we should keep watch while we're inside.
Okay, again, don't we normally? I feel like everyone is acting like this is a new thing.
Not
Every-
everyone, Kior says, raising her hand.
Well, I mean, before it was a log cabin. Recently, it's been the O'Shaughnessy house. I thought it was a different spell.
No, it is the same spell always. I just tweaked it a bit.
Oh, well, kudos.
From where we're currently at, is it just kind of like open around us? We can see for quite a ways in all directions?
Yes.
Well, I suppose we might as well summon it here. It's as good a place as any.
Yes, there's no cover to speak of. No trees, no shrubs, no dunes.
Clear line of sight in all directions.
I think I could agree with that.
Okay. And I just unstrap the cittern. I move ahead of them a few yards, and then I start playing.
Okay. Takes a few minutes. But a house is summoned. Derp. Y'all have a house.
All right. Who'd like to take first watch?
I can take first watch.
I'll join you, Alina says.
I think I'll catch a few Z's and then take second watch if no one objects.
I can always join you on that second watch.
With the house up and watches settled, I'll have Edgar start patrolling around the area and head inside to have dinner.
Okay.
All right. As the first watch is taken, Macklin prepares to sleep.
All right.
You're not gonna have dinner first, Macklin?
Oh, well, unless someone intends to hunt, I've got a handful of rations I can chew on after my sleep.
As that conversation is happening, Kiora's pulling out her rations to eat for dinner.
You are not the only one, as everyone else seems to be more or less pulling out their rations as well.
Yum yum rations.
Best damn rations in the land.
Damn it. Kior, can you post the description of Summon Steed for me? I was trying to do it on the slide, but you're looking at stuff.
Sure, 1 second. Kior will also offer Alina some pocket bacon.
She cautiously takes some. As you see Kior take out some of the bacon from earlier and share it.
munch on a little bit of my own.
Okay. V, what are you up to?
I'm just having dinner and going to find somewhere to sleep.
Okay.
I'll also share some jerky that I still have in my bag with anyone who wants it.
Is this jerky or pocket bacon?
This is jerky. The pocket bacon is fresh, though.
If you pull out jerky, Fellion pulls out his jerky, gives you a nod, and starts eating it.
I return the nod at the same time, this knowing exchange.
Okay.
I don't know when I'm going to actually run out of jerky. The description in my inventory is several weeks worth.
Yeah, I have so much jerky, it's ridiculous. An adventurer who's been on his own for such a long time, he just has abundance of jerky.
It's quick, it's easy, and if you season it right, it's delicious.
Right?
You gotta season it before you dry it, though.
Exactly.
If you know where to buy it, then you know that they have the right seasons.
I'm gonna top off my drink while Heather's out. BRB.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I am back.
Welcome back. Rob went to get a drink.
No worries. Because he went to bed, and I believe everyone's kind of settling into first watch. Unless people had things they wanted to discuss over dinner.
Nope, Fellion's just gonna finish what little bit just to get himself slightly nourished and head to bed.
Okay. Where are you guys sleeping? Who's picking what room?
That's a good question. I'll take the downstairs room.
Okay. Ice is taking his couch.
I would take the bedroom I normally take, and if there's not enough room, I'll offer to share it with Alina.
So you offer to share it, and she kind of gives you it. And she's got her mask off in the house, and she kind of smiles a little bit at you. No, I already have an invitation. Thank you, though.
Do I hear that?
Roll a perception check.
I'd probably have my mask off as well and just kind of smile without saying anything.
20 not nat.
Yeah, you hear it.
I just smirk and quietly say to myself, yeah.
Well,
Of course, I'm making an assumption, but
Let's head on out and pray for a peaceful night.
She nods to you and puts her mask down as you both head out.
First thing I do when I head out is check on Edgar.
Okay. Let's move to Whispers, shall we?
Oh God, what happened to my horse?
We're going to Whispers.
User left your channel.
Sorry, guys,
Guys.
I'm not gonna be able to hear you because I have to listen to music really loud.
Why is Whispers password protected?
What?
Error.
Whispers is
Error.
password protected?
It
User
says
left your channel. User joined your channel.
it says enter password for channel Whispers.
Yeah, there is a password. Hey, it's not there anymore. Yay!
Edited it.
Thank you.
Channel switched.
Sorry, Hypes somehow put a password on the channel.
How?
I don't
I
even
just
know.
like jumped in here.
I know, but when I went to go in, it wouldn't let me come in until it entered a password.
Weird.
Okay. So you head out, and it is actually it's dark, but not terribly so. You know those nights where there seems to just be a lot of ambient light around?
Yeah.
There is a fair amount of ambient light because around you you can see probably a good 30 yards in every direction
Server
from the
group
house.
assigned.
The hell? Okay. So in every direction about 30 yards from the house, there are will-o'-the-wisps, and they seem to be. It's almost like they were swarming towards the house, but instead are being held back by something.
I like
And-
freeze the moment I get outside and
Yeah.
see that.
Alina does as well, and Edgar approaches you, and he looks pretty spooked. He is uncomfortable.
I just kind of at his side as he comes over. This is unusual behavior.
I'd say so. I have fought my fair share of undead, and I've never seen this before.
Nor have I. I'm gonna take a few steps forward and look around to see. Since I can see that they're all a certain distance out, I'm trying to see if they're basically all like crowding up to an invisible circle of some kind.
Okay, roll a perception check. With advantage, because Alina is helping you.
All right, 15.
Okay. As you see one of them kind of get a little closer than its fellows, you see it flicker and go out as it seems to cross some sort of barrier. And as you see almost a glint of what looks like steel, like a sword catching the light.
Where the thing vanished?
Yep.
What on Exandria was that? Did you see that?
She nods. I did.
Does that sound like anything even you know of out here?
I've heard stories. I've not spent a lot of time out here.
Before Xanathar's guide came out, there was
I am going to use Divine Sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that the will-o'-the-wisps are going to light up like a firework. But I'm paying closer attention to anything within this circle.
Okay. I'm gonna play with this a little bit, just for flavor, alright?
Sounds fine to me.
So as you close your eyes and you open your mind up to the divine sense, and you kind of close off what you assume you would be seeing, you actually see a row around you, a shield wall.
I draw on a sharp gasp of breath.
It seems to be a combination of different, it's a mishmash. It does seem to be a combination of all types of armor, from very, very old to fairly modern. Roll a perception check for me.
Oh God. 6.
Yep. It's a pretty significant. It's a pretty significant shield wall. There seems to be a commander circling you all as well.
Alina, open your senses.
She nods and she does the same. Holy fuck. And you hear the air kind of come out of her. Well, that seems appropriate.
I'm gonna look towards this general that's marshaling this shield wall.
Mm-hmm. So as you focus in, make another perception check with advantage.
14.
Okay. You see a very familiar figure patrolling patrolling the group around you. Fully in plate, which is unusual for her. You've only ever really seen her in leather, hide at most. Full plate, patrolling the group around you. And occasionally shouting orders, you know, kind of smacking a soldier on the back of the head and correcting them.
Just kind of gasp and move towards her and reflexively open my eyes. Ilya.
You move forward and you open your eyes and you don't see her.
Shit. I'm gonna close my eyes and use divine sense again.
Okay. You see her again. She's commanding. She's older than you last saw her. Actually, I'm gonna retcon this for a moment. When you opened your eyes and you looked at Alina, you saw her jaw was just clenched. She is very obviously seeing the same thing you are.
Okay. I'm gonna call out to her again. Ilya, can you hear me?
Roll a charisma check.
All right, let me type this in. $19.
So you see the figure kind of turn its head towards you for a moment. Kind of squint. You know, look that's very much, oh, I thought I heard something over there, and then turn back to its work.
What's happening? I don't understand.
Alina kind of, you hear her exhale and kind of run a hand through her hair. I do, and it's not good news.
What do you know? My eyes are still closed and I'm still just like staring at her.
Okay. Alina kind of, you hear her kind of sit back. Well, these lands are guarded and the battle continues to be fought. This is just folklore, though, okay? This is folklore that I have heard. But the stories go that the battle continues to be fought by the soldiers of those of the prime deities and the betrayer gods.
What? Does that sound like anything I would have learned?
Roll a religion check or history, whichever you'd like.
Religion is marginally better. 16.
It sounds like a sort of story that you may have heard once upon a time. You heard it more in the context of Taldore, where people who have fallen in battle to the betrayer gods or the agents of the betrayer gods are offered a chance to continue their fight on the battlefield of the Calamity.
That doesn't make sense. The matron is supposed to oversee our transition to whatever afterlife we're entitled to. The betrayer gods have no presence in Taldore.
They do, actually. Melina corrects.
I'll open my eyes then and look to her.
Several do, honestly. But I know which one she fell to, apparently.
What?
Alina kind of lifts her mask to have this conversation with you. She doesn't want to wear her mask.
I move mine up as well.
There's a few of the betrayer gods that I've seen a more active. We've seen a more active presence with on Taldore. This particular one is called the Ruiner. The Ruiner is
I make another religion
yeah, you
check
can.
to see.
Sure. Yep.
13.
A chaotic evil god who commands horde of barbaric marauders.
How long has he had a presence in Taldore?
Always.
Why did we not know?
Because it was a relatively, during your time, a relatively small, a small group of orcs and goblins that were enslaved, that ravaged their way across the plains. It wouldn't have risen to your notice if you were fighting Vecna. Alina looks shaken.
I thought Ilya fell to the undead, that she would have found some peace in the afterlife.
She shakes her head. She didn't fall to the undead. She fell to what we thought was a normal orc horde. A war party. But this means that it was something beyond just a normal war party, wasn't it? She turned undead. I solved that part.
I grit my teeth and look in the direction where I'd seen her.
Okay. She's working. She's obviously in charge. She's holding the wall.
Well, my eyes are open now, so I don't know if I'd still...
No, yeah, you don't see her.
How is it that she comes to protect us here?
Alina kind of shrugs. I can guess. If she fell to one of the slaughter lords of the horde, that would mean she'd be eligible for this sort of service, and Lord knows that she threatened to punch the Raven Queen in her bitch face every time. Well, every once in a while.
Yes, given the chance to continue fighting, she would not choose to go peacefully to her rest, no matter how much she would have earned it.
Not while there was still work to do.
And there's always work to do, isn't there?
Truer words never spoken.
Cure actually looks visibly bitter at that for the first time.
Alina also looks pretty pissed about it, honestly.
Well, it seems that even in death, she is still looking out for us.
Well, that's something to hold on to, I suppose.
I look over at her to see if there's any. Basically, just looking for a reaction she might be trying to hide.
Sure, roll an insight check.
16.
Okay. She looks a little frustrated. Yeah, kind of frustrated.
What is it?
I had hoped she would have found something a little bit more peaceful than patrolling the wastes of Gordranus.
I kind of give out a little bark of laughter. You and me both, but she wouldn't be who she was if she turned down the opportunity to fight.
Literally anything?
Well, I just kind of sigh. There are things that I'm not proud of my past. I think I ought to have a discussion with Ilya once I return.
She nods a little bit and kind of just rubs the bridge of her nose.
At some point, the fighting has to stop. It has to.
Yes, I hope so.
I kind of stare off for a moment before kind of laughing again and shaking my head. And here I had hopes of asking you why you seem to be in a mood today. Instead, we get this.
Anything specific about my mood?
You seemed a little more put out than I would have expected you to be.
She just kind of shrugs her shoulders. No, I had a disagreement with Ice, but
There is absolutely no sense of surprise on my face.
what's the opposite of surprise?
Yeah, just realization and, oh, yes, that makes sense.
He has a very black and white way of looking at the world, doesn't he? Everyone's either a good guy or a bad guy.
And a very blunt way of expressing himself.
I don't mind the bluntness, but there are shades of gray in everything.
He's about as subtle as a hill giant. If I may ask, What did he say to upset you?
Oh, just the fight with the Empire. It's not about good versus evil. Boiling it down like that makes...
Oversimplifies it?
Indeed. And when I pointed that out, he just said, well, that's my opinion, or something like that. I don't know.
I kind of nod slightly. Well, he is a very opinionated person. He's not one to He's not one to realize when his opinion isn't particularly valued either.
Well, it's just... If you do go back, casting the Empire as the good guys and the Astosians as the bad guys is not going to serve you well.
I never had a head for politics. I'm afraid my outlook is fairly simplistic as well. But then I'm very much accustomed to a mistress who points me in a direction and I simply proceed as I am needed.
She nods a little bit. Well, same, honestly. I wish I could say that I'm bad at politics, but I'm actually fairly good at them.
Well, with the upbringing you've had, the world you've had to live in, I just kind of shrug. You were born into royalty, in a manner of speaking. I was merely adopted into it, and it never took.
Well, I hear you play quite well, actually.
Kind of scoff a little bit. All right, well, maybe I picked up one or two things. Why don't we inform the others of what we've found out here, do a circuit, and perhaps I'll see if I can remember a tune or two.
Sounds fair to me. And she stands, and you guys move back inside. We're gonna move out of Whispers.
Alrighty.
Channel User switched. joined your channel.
Hello!
Hi.
So after, what, 10, 15 minutes,
Yeah, 15, probably.
Kior walks us back inside. I thought you all should know that we're surrounded by will-o-wisps.
I look up from my place on the couch looking at Whisper and just look over. So, surrounded, but they're not getting in.
Yes, it appears we have some assistance keeping them at bay. They've gathered about 30 feet out from the house.
Does that mean I can turn back in?
How many? You said 30 feet?
Yes, and there's quite a bit.
Like, circled all around the house? Or are we talking all trying to get to the front door since that's the only entry point?
Encircling the house. We observed them for some time and watched one or two of them get destroyed when they attempted to get any closer. As I said, we have assistants protecting us. I simply did not want anyone to be alarmed if they looked out a window or went on watch and saw them all out there.
And I don't know how our assistants would take someone bursting through their shield wall anyway, so...
Who? Do you have any idea who's assisting?
It seems to be warriors fighting against the corruption of the betrayer gods. I could not make out details. I could only sense them through my divine sense. I got an impression of details, but little more than that.
Okay, so then my idea won't work.
Your idea.
Well, if it was just a magic barrier, I still have yet to take a rest. I can call on a Dawn to just hit the edge of the shields area, but if he gets a sense that it's warriors and this is the Ghostlands, I can only assume that it is the fallen spirits of those from the battle. So, no, what's telling if I cast that we'll just destroy our own salvation?
It's a good conclusion.
We'll keep an eye on them for the rest of our watch. If it seems that they're pushing through at any moment, then we'll be sure to wake everyone up.
Good. Macklin turns back over and goes back to sleep.
Where's Macklin sleeping?
Because he's taking second watch.
No, where?
Oh, I forgot there was actually a thing. I forgot it wasn't the cabin. I'm sorry. Ignore that.
He's sleeping soundly upstairs.
He was passed out drunk on the table.
That's Cure's room.
Oh, well, okay. I know y'all had different rooms. So I just put him in a cabinet somewhere. Fuck it.
Alright, so after making that pronouncement, Cure would head back outside. I'd say after maybe a half hour or so. She just kind of, the sound of lute strings being plucked just through the door. Not in any particular melody, just tuning and bits and pieces of half-remembered music.
Okay. Ilya will join you on your shift.
Alina?
Alina, sorry. I mean, other thing too. Alina will join you on your shift, and she does pull out her guitar, enlarge it, and begins to play with you.
And that's probably how they're going to pass their watch.
Probably. All right. Second shift. Is Macklin and
Billion.
Elian. Awesome.
Alrighty.
Okay, you two want to meet me in Whispers, please?
Sure. As long as you promise not to kill me with will-o-wisps.
User left your channel.
No promises.
User left your channel.
You know she can't promise that.
Depends on what y'all do.
I'm gonna attack the first one that comes to my face.
So as you go outside, you do see what Cure and Alina were talking about in that, in every direction, about 30 feet from the house, is a swarm of will-o-wisps being kept at bay by what appears to be some sort of force.
Interesting.
What in the world? They're just hanging out. Just. What in the world?
Occasionally, you see one try to flit forward towards the direction of the house, and you see a glimmer of light, and the will-o'-the-wisp will go out.
I've never seen that happen. Have you seen that happen?
No.
Are you sure? Not even like a fluke?
Very seldom have I dealt with these things.
Both of you roll me perception checks.
21.
Same, 21.
Okay. You both kind of get quiet as you try to figure out what the hell is going on out here. And you do hear an occasional shouted order. In a
Did you hear
voice that seems familiar.
From a voice that seems familiar?
Yep.
I'm gonna look around and see if I can see who's shouting orders.
Okay. Don't see anything.
What's the voice sound like?
Kind of like Alina. Actually, you traveled with Ilya, so you would recognize her voice.
So it's Alina?
Oh no, it's Ilya.
What?
You hear the voice of Ilya occasionally giving orders.
Does that sound like who? Does that sound like Macklin? Does that sound like who you think it is?
Pardon?
Do you hear the voice?
I hear a voice, yes.
Do you
Something,
recognize the
somewhere.
voice?
Afraid not. It sounds familiar, though. I'm gonna go ahead and knock a bolt into the container.
Okay.
Is there like a will-o'-the-wisp up in the air somewhere?
Not really. They seem to be kind of facing off against something.
Thelian narrows his eyebrows, shrugs, and says, well, I've seen worse things happen, I guess.
Really? Worse than this?
Well, I mean, I've seen people ravaged by werewolves and sucked dry by vampire spawn.
I suppose those are pretty terrible, but as soon as that barrier gives, it will be something hellish. I'll go ahead and approach the perceived barrier.
Okay. As you come to the edge of the barrier, you begin to feel cold.
Oh. Oh, this is odd. I check to see if I can see my breath.
Okay. You can.
Let's see.
You feel the air shift around you.
Okay, I'm gonna do a survival check, because this is based on undead stuff.
Actually, first you're gonna roll me a dexterity saving throw.
Dexterity saving throw! Oh my god! That's an 18.
Okay.
Why am I not using my dice? God damn it.
So you are rather rudely pushed. You feel a hand kind of grab the back of your shirt, like the neck of your shirt, and pull you back.
Valian, what are you doing? I turn
It
around.
wasn't me.
As you are pulled away from the barrier.
I shift my shoulders uncomfortably. Right.
Roll me an insight check.
Sure. Let's see, insight is +3. 15.
Okay. It was definitely not an unfriendly yank, but it was definitely an impatient yank.
A yank of war times.
A yank of GTFO.
Alright, I scoot back away from the barrier. Well, whatever
I
this is,
wouldn't do that, friend.
well, it seems whatever is keeping this barrier up doesn't want us near the periphery.
It probably saved your ass there.
Potentially.
I'm sure whatever yanked on you, as it looked like a ghost spirit yanking on your shoulder.
Having my background of studying and hunting undead, can I roll, what would this be, survival or...
You can roll anything you want,
Okay.
and I will tell you the answer based on what you roll.
I'm just trying to, yeah, okay.
You can roll survival, you can roll nature, you can roll history, you can roll arcana, you can roll religion, you can roll... I mean, hell, you can roll whatever the hell you want, and I will...
Alright. I'm going to roll religion. That's in that one.
Definitely evil. All of this is definitely evil.
I don't like any of this.
In fact, you get the urge to go towards that shield wall again. Or the barrier again, rather.
Because of course I do.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I do just that. I get a little bit closer to the shield wall and I...
Fellion grabs him this time.
Roll me a grapple off, please.
Really?
That doesn't
Okay.
sound good at all. A grapple off?
I am
Yes.
spindly.
One of
and
you,
squirrely.
Fellion's athletics versus Macklin's acrobatics or athletics. Let's see if you manage to get a hand on the gnome before he slips away from you.
I gotta pull that up. Hold on. Three.
32.
For
I
real?
want to say you won that one. Yeah.
Okay.
I got a 3.
So you go
I
to
just wanted
reach.
to get a little bit closer so I could just shoot one of these things.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
no, sorry. That was a 6.
okay. Well, you go to reach out to Macklin, and you don't even get close as he ducks forward again. Macklin, you feel a hand on your shoulder and a voice in your ear going, "If you wouldn't mind, I have work to do. Maybe go back to bed."
Do I recognize it at that point?
It sounds a lot like Alina, but it is not Alina. And you've heard it before. Sounds like Ilya, probably.
Huh.
Well, I suppose it would be wiser to stand down when the Grey Mistress is telling you to stand down.
I think you would be wise to hear whatever advice I gave you, Macklin.
Yes, it seems she has this fight. I suppose this is more like a pea shooter in comparison to those things. Very well.
And he backs the fuck away.
Alright, Macklin backs the fuck away. And we'll head back to main chat.
Okay.
Channel switched. User joined your channel. User joined your channel.
Channel switched.
Switch over.
Okay.
Welcome back.
I'm going back to fuck bed.
You staying up
Yeah,
for the rest of your shift, or you just going back to bed?
Just going back to bed. I'm gonna. The voice said go back to bed, and you always follow the voice.
Well, it's hard to argue with the Taldori. Possible, but hard.
Well, I think she has it handled, so. She did tell you to go back to bed, Macklin.
Oh, yes, of course, but
Remember, you're in her field. right now.
This is very far removed from her field. What is she doing here?
Well, apparently this is her field, as she is
It's
doing something.
It's a continent away.
Macklin,
Cure, roll me a perception check with disadvantage.
I'm not saying I'm not going to. I'm just saying.
You can kind of hear some raised voices from the second shift downstairs. You're a little sleepy. It wasn't that deep into your shift. Like, you had just gotten to the point where you had taken off your armor, they'd kind of said your evening prayers, and you were settling in, and you can hear some raised voices downstairs.
Do they wake me up?
Yeah, you would wake up.
They've got this.
I slowly sit up and rub my eyes. Jesus Christ, could you two shut the fuck up? If you're on guard, just get the fuck back outside.
We were told to go back inside.
What? Was it the spirit wall? Did they... Never mind. Fuck it. I'm going to bed. Y'all just shut the fuck up and go back to bed or go back outside. I don't care. Just make sure the front door's closed. And I curl back up on the couch and go back to bed.
I was a Phillian, let out a sigh, looked toward the ceiling and a shrug.
what's the worst that could happen, right?
I don't know. I feel a bit like a bump on a log not being out there helping.
What do you suppose we do?
Go to sleep, that's what she said to do.
Alright, then I will see you in the morning, my young friend.
I think you're mistaking small for young, but I'll let you have that one. Take care. Sleep well.
Good night, Macklin.
Good night, Phillian. We go our separate ways.
Okay. You head upstairs to bed. As the evening passes, more or less uneventfully. For one last time, Kiora, meet me in Whispers, please.
Oh boy.
User left your channel. Channel switched.
Alright, so. As evening passes, and you get some sleep, in the middle of your sleep, you feel a hand kind of ruffle your hair.
Is it the familiar kind of ruffling I'd lean into in a comfortable, intimate environment?
Yep.
Kind of groan softly and lean into it.
Oh, and Rob, I was slightly off.
You hear a chuckle, and you feel a kiss on your cheek.
The breakdown with the xylophone
Is that enough to kind of like half rouse me?
Yep.
and it's the breakdown from Breeze.
I kind of open my eyes and blink in the darkness.
You do see a shadowy form kind of above you. It's hard to make out details.
Ilya?
Yes, sweetheart. Get some sleep. I didn't mean to wake you.
Come back to bed.
Soon. I have a little work to get done.
Kind of grumble a little bit.
You hear the sound of
Always work to do.
heavy booted footsteps across the floor. The door open and the door close.
When the door opens, I just kind of mumble. Love you.
I love you too, sweetheart.
Just kind of smile and snuggle back into the bed.
Okay. And we're gonna head back to main chat.
User left your channel. Channel switched.
Oh shit.
As you all eventually wake for the morning, dawn rises. It's bright.
I get up with the dawn, kind of accustomed to it at this point, and feeling pretty rested, and kind of blink around my room and frown a little bit and touch my cheek. Then go about my prayers and getting ready for the day, slowly taking my time.
Okay.
Thoughtful.
Slowly but surely, people trickle downstairs.
Ice would have woken up before everyone else and would have actually opened the front door to see what was outside since everyone was asleep.
Okay. You waited until dawn or no?
Yeah, just as dawn was hitting is just around the time that I would awake, so I'd peek out then.
Okay. As the sun comes up, you see the will-o'-the-wisps go out one by one, by one, by one. Roll me a perception check.
Natural fucking 20, so 28.
Okay. You hear a voice, clearly say, "All right, fall back for the night. Everyone get some rest. It's been a long one." And you hear the jangling of shields and armor and boots on the ground slowly fade.
I actually give a deep bow out in front of me, since that's where I thought I heard it from. And though I can't see anything, I know what I heard. So I'm just going to stand there for a moment and enjoy the dawn and the sounds of them departing before I return inside.
Okay. People are
Ophelian's gonna go sit at the table and get food from his ration pouch.
people gather around the table, eat some rations.
When I come downstairs and notice everyone around the table and sit down to make my own breakfast, I think we can add another threat to the list of issues to look into at some point when we get back.
Do tell.
There is a betrayer god with a presence in Taldore.
The betrayer god?
I nod.
Roll a religion check.
Sure, roll a religion check.
The Ruiner.
9. Why am I not...
It doesn't sound familiar, but Alina kind of, she looks tired. She leans forward and pulls out a little bit of chalk and sketches a symbol on a piece of paper and pushes it over to you. And Macklin, you recognize this symbol. You've seen it a lot around goblin tribes. It's a single eye with a drop coming from it, or usually a red drop.
I've seen this.
Orc tribes generally carry some goblins. Anything that would be described as a horde usually can be seen carrying this sort of symbol.
Yes, I've known some unsavory folk to carry these. I was warned about them back in my heyday. So this is the mark of a betrayer god.
That's the one.
And you say in... Where exactly is their presence?
Home, somewhere in Taldore.
Taldor is a big place.
Throughout the
is.
plains.
Throughout the plains. Anywhere where that symbol flies.
Oh no. The Friends camp is in the plains.
Kind of grunt softly. Like I said, one more threat to add to the list.
Oh bother. As if our plate wasn't full enough. What do you know about this, eyeball drip ne'er-do-well?
Only that, if left unchecked, he will draw power from his minions marauding across the landscape. That he hasn't made a move in this timeline suggests he's very much a long-term threat.
Yeah, so we go home, we inform those who need to be informed, stop Vecna, then start culling hordes. Perhaps that last one can be offloaded to a third party, delegated.
I nod a little bit. We will see what happens after we defeat Vecna.
There's no way that these are connected, are there? This, whoever, and he gestures toward the eye symbol. This thing wouldn't ally itself with Vecna.
No, not the Ruiner.
Ruiner. Fitting.
If I recall my studies, it's an entity of violence and wanton destruction. Not one for cunning or
User in your channel timed out.
dalliance with demigods or aspiring demigods.
We lost Jay.
The drow disappeared.
You probably had a connection drop.
I think I'm not sure, but she might have dropped. I'd say in quotes, her connection was lost.
Potentially.
Though the Ruiner's more destruction in any form, I mean, have you seen what's happened to any of the towns? I mean, I gesture in some random direction. Whitestone. We came back and it was nothing but rubble and a forest coming back. Completely destroyed.
I agree, he is a threat. I simply stated he's a long-term one.
Right, but you discounted out of hand that the Ruiner might have some connection with Vecna.
Yeah, perhaps he follows Vecna's coattails.
It's unlikely, Alina kind of says, shaking her head. It's not that they're working together, it's that they're working in harmony.
Oh, so a happy sort of synergy.
That's the one.
He is the carrion eater that follows in the wake of death that Vecna lays.
That's a very poetic way of putting it.
I thank you.
I miss coffee. And she just kind of rubs her temples.
Kiora makes a face.
Now, what did this information come about? A prophetic dream?
Thelian pulls out a flask and hands it to Alina.
She takes it and sniffs it.
It smells really rough.
Is it spirits or not spirits?
It's a remedy that we use.
I'm asking out of character.
Oh, It's literally just it's a mix of different herbs that boost you in the morning. It works like caffeine, but it's stronger.
Okay, she nods to you and takes a swig of it before handing it back.
He takes it, puts it back. Should feel better in about 2 minutes.
I appreciate it. No, this is information we were able to put together based on the presence that was outside last night.
Oh, the thing that kept the wisps at bay?
Yes.
And you think the will-o-wisps are part of this ruiner?
Not quite. So, in order to be a part of... Why don't we just start with, what did you see?
User entered your channel.
Welcome
Welcome
back.
back.
Welcome back.
Everyone sits around the breakfast table telling ghost stories.
I looked toward Felling with some degree of uncertainty. Well, when we stepped out, we saw that we were surrounded completely by the will-o-wisps. Occasionally, one would break formation, dart in, and quickly get snuffed out by some unseen force. A flash of lightning was gone. I thought to investigate. Felling and I had heard a voice calling out orders. I glanced at Felion as if looking for confirmation.
He doesn't say a word. He just gives you a tiny little nod.
I thought to investigate and found it was rather cold. Freezing, in fact. I could see my breath. At one point, I got too cold and someone grabbed me by the scruff and pulled me away. The second time I went toward the barrier, I was told to go back in, that she had work to do.
I think she just didn't want you in the way.
Oh, yes, I got that much idea.
Well, when you decide to put your hand through it and, only get possessed by a spirit that wants to take your soul, maybe kill you.
Wait, what?
Oh, Macklin decided that he was going to get ambitious and try to put his hand through the shield.
I did not try any such thing. I was knocking an arrow prepared to shoot the crap out of those flamey, glowy things.
But you literally... Why do you think she yanked on you and pulled you away from the shield?
Well, presumably I was getting in the way.
Have you lost your mind? Yeah, she.
What happened last night during your watch?
Nothing very eventful. We went out, we saw a shield. Eklund tried to touch said shield and got yanked by some spirit or some kind of force, keeping him from killing himself, and told us to go to bed. Nothing much.
Yeah, it was nervously licking his lips, trying not to make eye contact with Cure. Someone was commanding a force out there, calling out orders.
Ah.
Yep,
So
and
you
once
saw them
dawn
as
hit,
well. What was that, Ice?
oh, sorry, no, I didn't see them. But just as dawn was hitting, I popped my head out because no one was on duty. Started watching the will-o-wisp just disappear as the sun came up, and then I heard a familiar voice say "job well done" or something along those lines, and it was saying something like it was a long night and that they need to move on. And then the spirit wall, I guess, uh, sounded like they broke formation and started walking off.
It seems you heard a lot more than we did.
Well, I wasn't talking to anyone, so that helps.
Well, are we ready to head out on our wonderful adventure?
Indeed. The sooner we get to this tower, the better.
Yes, perhaps. At the very least, it does seem that we have someone on our side. I wouldn't want to push that boon too far, however. The sooner we're out of here, the better.
Thalion goes, grabs his pack, and walks out the door.
Macklin follows suit.
Yep, I'm also following.
Okay.
Pack up, mount up, let's go.
All right. As you all pack up and mount up, head once more into the orange, streaky Ghostlands. Except now, you see a large, obnoxiously white tower sitting probably, I don't know, maybe a mile or two ahead.
That is an extremely white tower.
It is pristine.
It is
Oh.
extremely white and extremely large, which means he is a wizard that does not bear messing with.
He's gonna be one of the annoying ones, isn't he?
They don't call him
Judging by the
mad
size
because
of
he's
that tower? Yes.
They don't call him mad because he's easy to deal with. Alina says, stretching.
Huh.
I mean, I've been called mad many a times. I'm not that hard to deal with, right?
I'm surprised. I'm so surprised to hear that.
Well, when you go head first into charging at monsters, some people don't find you to be sane.
Because it's not. It's not sane.
Right.
You see Nika smack Alina's shoulder. See, they agree. Not sane.
No, I did no.
Wait,
no.
what are we agreeing to?
I said they didn't think it was sane. I felt that it was perfectly sane, and that's why I did it.
You know, I hear a tale that most people who are insane think they are very much within their right mind. In fact, I believe it's part of the definition.
Nika smiles at you, Macklin, and it's a wide smile. I like you.
I think that's the kindest thing I've heard all month.
Are we hurting your feelings, Maglin? Do you want us to be more, how do you say, comforting?
You know, after all this year, you are rather quite abrasive. I think my feelings might have been hurt somewhere down the line.
Kior snorts a little from the back of her horse.
Ice Mime's playing a violin.
Let's make haste before I start getting further in touch with my feelings.
That is certainly a conversation I would not like to have.
Okay, as you guys move forward, arriving at the tower. It doesn't take very long, probably 20 minutes tops. Less than 15-ish.
Thalion is going to investigate the quote-unquote door, if there is one.
There's a large double door made of stained blue glass.
He kind of glances over at the group. So, do we just knock?
Actually, before we enter, Veed, you seem to know perhaps the most about this gentleman, if not Nika or Melina. Is there a certain repartee to maintain while speaking with Spanner? Anything we should avoid saying? Anything that we should make sure to say? Does he have a funny glass eye we're not supposed to look into?
V, you are not aware of anything that they shouldn't say. Halastair is aware of the fact that he's known as Halastair the Mad, and does not give a fuck. He is unpredictable, and there's no he has no berserk button that you are aware of.
He has no rage button.
Not that I'm aware of, but I've never entered his personal domain.
I see, no dress rehearsal. We're doing it live then.
Well, put your smile on your faces. Infellion's gonna try to knock on the door.
Okay, so you go to knock on the door, and a sign appears in front of you that just says "push."
Oh, well, that's very helpful.
He's gonna bring his hand back, kind of do that, look at his hand, and push the door open.
Okay, it doesn't open.
Oh, he's
It
got a
doesn't?
sick. You son of a bitch.
Throw a handle on the door.
Does anyone actually know what he looks like?
I climb off my horse and push the sign.
Push the sign.
Yes.
Nothing happens.
Fellion
Jesus.
looks over at Ice and he goes, "Don't you have a spell for this?"
Do I have to, like, couldn't you
Alina
just...
looks at all of you and just kind of muscles her way forward and puts her hand on the door and pulls it open.
Huh.
That makes sense.
Oh, he's one of those assholes.
Yes, so once again, anyone else that knows, does anyone know what he looks like? Do you have an ability to make me see what he looks like so I can possibly do something?
No, I've never seen him. And Nika shakes her head. Me neither. Almika says that I'm not allowed to make any deals with him yet.
I look at Amika. You're not allowed to make deals with him. That doesn't mean you haven't seen him. Or you're not... You didn't specifically say you didn't see him, but you're implying that you might not have seen him. I need a yes or no. Have you seen him?
No.
Damn it. Let's hope he's vain enough to have shit on the walls. I'll walk in the door.
Okay.
I mean, he puts up a sign that says, push, and you're actually supposed to pull. He probably has more than just one damn picture on the wall.
I glance at Alina, shrug, and follow inside.
Okay.
Well, this is quaint. This is nice.
Macklin follows.
I'm like looking back out at the plane, going, "Do I go back?"
Fellion stops. Are you coming? You came all this way. You might as well meet the old bastard.
You say that, but am I going to end up displaced 50 years in the past?
Well, I think it's going to end up being your choice at that point.
You act like it's a bad thing. 50 years ago, things were a lot nicer.
I was also quite a bit younger. I'd rather not repeat it.
Well, who doesn't want to be 20 years old and change everything that they did in their past? Plus, I don't know if you really can come back with us.
Gods, tell me about it.
Enters, follows them in.
Okay, you guys walk in.
Yep.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Head down a hallway. Beautiful white marble everywhere. It's a little disconcerting. Actually, kind of almost makes you dizzy. It's hard to tell the floor from the ceiling from the walls. And you come forward to a small sitting area.
Are there murals, paintings, statues that show this wizard?
No, it is so plain that it is hard to tell from the ceiling from the walls from the floor.
Let me guess. There's exactly as many chairs as there is for us, plus one.
Felly, and you know so well. Yes, there are exactly that many chairs.
Valiant sits down. I swear to God, if I get held to this chair, I hate wizards.
You should have probably checked the chair for traps before you sat then.
What's it gonna matter? You're gonna end up sitting in the chair whether you like it or not, so sit down.
I stand behind a chair.
Can I
Perception
check
is
the
fair.
chair for traps? Because
Sure.
we mentioned it.
Y'all can check the chairs for traps.
Give me a 12.
12? Okay. The chairs do not appear to be trapped. They do appear to be soft and cushy.
I delicately sit in the chair, crossing one leg over the other.
Okay, it is soft and cushy.
At least it's comfortable.
That is a persuasion check. But since you rolled a natural 20, it doesn't really matter. You look over the chair. It is not, in fact, trapped. It does look comfortable.
Size and sits in the chair.
Are there any doors in this waiting room? Or is it just a room?
It is a just white void.
Wow, this sure is something.
I cast levitate, and I just hover in the air and fold my legs, and close my eyes and just exist.
Okay.
Valiant does that thing where he puts his elbows on his knees and he has his fingers crossed in his hands, waiting.
Okay. Alina and Nika sit. Ghost sits. Uncomfortable. Time goes by.
As time begins to pass,
Can
it seems as though
you-
they're starting to wait.
Could you two please sit in the chairs?
How much time passes?
It's been about 10 minutes.
I'll shrug
Okay.
and sit down.
Okay.
At the 10-minute mark, I slowly descend to the ground, legs still crossed, but now just sitting on the floor and not sitting in the chair.
Okay. Everyone but Ice is sitting in a chair. Another
I'm
10
going
minutes
to pull
pass.
a book out of my pocket.
That's a wise idea.
Cast a minor illusion to create a pack of playing cards.
Alright.
I begin to
How are
play
you supposed
solitaire.
to make that work?
I know, technically it's cheating if you know which card is which, but... That's
Can't
right
you
with you.
always draw the card that you want to get?
Well, yes.
I look up at Macklin doing his illusion, and then I point to the ground in front of me, and using prestidigitation, I make it the image of a royal flush in spades just appear on the ground. Sorry, I think I win.
Valiant's got his hands in a fist and he has it on his forehead. Ice, can you please sit in the damn chair?
Yes, before I have to start drawing pocket aces.
I mean,
Alina lets out a frustrated sound. Sit in the chair or I will make you sit in the chair.
I'm about to second that thought.
Perhaps the trick is for no one to sit in the chairs and everyone to sit on the floor.
I look up at everyone.
Wouldn't that be ironic?
You assume that a man that has the word push on a door that has a pull, and you expect that being obedient and sitting in all the chairs is going to call him to you.
They're rather soft chairs.
Alina, do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
She smiles a little bit, and pulls something out of Nika's pocket. And she looks at Ice, and tosses a little metal ball up in the air and catches it. Looks to you, Ice, before tossing it at you and going, "Manners."
Counterspell.
Oh shit!
As soon as he counterspells, Felion goes, "She said manners."
Counterspell. Oh, actually, no, I can only do it once.
You
I
can
don't
only
think.
do it once, buddy.
Wait, I don't think you can counter this. This is an item.
If it's any type of spell, you can.
Yeah, I'm checking because it's not a spell. It's an item. I'm just once I load up this stupid thing.
As an artifact, I think dispel magic might be more appropriate.
Doesn't have a time of reaction.
Sucks to be you.
Items. Items. I have to pull up the real name of it.
Iron Bands of Bolaro.
It is the Iron Bands of Bolaro.
Huh. Not a spell, but a magic item.
It is. Doop, doop, doop. You can make a strength saving throw.
Yeah, counterspell wouldn't work.
Yeah.
18.
18. So an 18 fails. And counterspell doesn't work on this because it's not a spell.
Yep.
As iron bands clasp around your body. Alina stands, picks you up, and puts you in a chair.
Cure
When
blinks
they
and
go-
leans forward.
The iron bands go around my body. Is it just like my arms to my side and shit? And
It's your arms to your side. It's your legs closed. It's your there's a band over your mouth. It's basically the thing from Doctor Strange. And she puts you in a chair and then goes to sit in her own chair again.
I believe she has to make a strength check to be able to pick me up.
Okay. Sure.
You need a hand.
No, I think I've got this. He doesn't look that unwieldy.
That's rather quite brutal.
Lord knows she only has a +7 to strength.
Watch her roll a natural one. Throws out her back.
Cure is offering help.
Sure. You know what? We'll do some mother-daughter bonding as they both wrangle Ice into a chair.
Watch her roll 2 nat ones.
I mean,
No.
I've done it.
I have two.
Cure, you find that you don't need to do very much lifting as Alina just kind of picks up Ice, like a fairly heavy bag of groceries, but not an exceptionally heavy bag of groceries, and puts him in a chair before sitting back in her own chair.
I kind of pat Ice on the shoulder. Sometimes the easiest thing to do is to just follow instructions. I sit down.
And as you say that, a wizard walks in and sits in the empty chair. You know, she has a point, and Alina
He has
kind
a-
of... Oh, go
Has
ahead.
a band around his mouth, right?
Yep.
Seamus does? Yeah. Okay, good. Good.
as Alina snaps, "Thank you," and the ball dissipates, forming a sphere once more and going back to her hand.
Thalion looks over. Why would you take that off?
You can do whatever you want. Ice, you're free. All right. All right. As you all sit and the wizard looks at you all. He's middle-aged man, human-looking, long black hair, kind of bound back, goatee. So, what do you want? As he looks you all over.
How many years is it? 22? Correct?
21 in a few days, actually.
We'd like to go back in time, 21 in a few days.
All of you?
Us four. I don't know about the fifth one. I don't know what his gain is in it.
Specifically, we would like to go back in time to insert date here,
Okay.
preferably in the city of Whitestone.
Yes, a teleportation spell had gone awry. We were trapped in between, what did I really call it? The flux state? We were robbed of 21 years where our adversary kind of destroyed all the things that we cared about.
Well, that's quite an ask.
Well, that's why we came here to you. If anyone can do it, we were told you could.
And what's in it for me?
What do you want?
Well, I can't imagine you care much for the machinations of Vecna, and stopping those you seem a bit above the comings and goings of what happens in this world.
That would be correct.
We were told you have a test of some sort, so I suppose we can offer you some amusement in that regard.
He kind of steeples his fingers and looks you all over. You might do. Well, I can certainly give you a chance. We just need to talk terms.
Well, I mean, you know where we want to go, and you know we want to get there. So, what are your terms?
Well, And he kind of thinks and looks you all over. I am sure Almika spoke of the spiral.
Macklin leans forward and nods.
Good. Every room you clear on the spiral, I will send you back 1 year.
Wait,
Yes.
what?
So you're saying we have to do this at least 21 times?
21 rooms.
Are you suggesting that you can send us back further?
No. I mean, it could, but I won't.
Oh, well, glad we cleared that up.
And what are these tasks? Are they slay some monsters, or are they riddles and tongues?
He kind of shrugs his shoulders. Whatever I find interesting at the moment, really. I'm sure it's nothing beyond your abilities.
I can do many things. And what if we don't complete these rooms?
Well, I'm nothing but fair, if not but fair, so for every room you complete and press the blue crystal, I will send you back that far. If you die completing it, well, you die completing it, and that's just your own damn fault, I suppose. But if at any point you feel like you've made your way far enough, press the red crystal, and I'll send you back that far. So, for example, if you get to room 15 and you say, "No, I think I'm done," you press the red crystal, and bam, I send you back 15 years.
So to complete each room, we only have to press the blue crystal.
Yes.
All right.
We each have to press the blue crystal.
No, just one of you. And he looks you all over. And, to be even more generous, I'll let you take one of your extras with you.
Will...
They will
Upon
not go back
completing...
in time, they will just help you. And once that's completed, well, it won't matter because this entire universe will cease to exist.
Huh.
Equin squints a little bit.
All right, then.
And I think 24 hours should be plenty of time to take care of this little task.
So we have to do 21 rooms in 24 hours.
He nods.
If we complete a room, are we able to stay in that room as long as we deem necessary without being harassed?
If you'd like, but time doesn't stop.
Understood.
You're not omniscient, are you?
He arches an eyebrow at you. No. But I am very smart.
And you've been able to teleport people back in time for at least 21 years?
He smiles at you. This wouldn't be my first time.
When was your first time?
Now that is an alternate universe that you'll never know of.
Well, that may be true, but you could certainly spin a tale. Point us to a time frame. Let us know whether it was accidental or not. If they lived. If things changed.
Well, you're here, so things changed.
Huh.
And he stands up.
So despite this universe not existing, you're aware that it changed. If we do, when we do complete your challenge, will you be aware of what happened today, or?
I am aware of all of the different spirals this silly world has gone on through.
And the world as we know it now, all the people in it, they just poof.
Correct.
Are you really just a mad wizard, or are you something way more than that?
He smiles at you and stands and motions to a side door. Or a side wall, which a door appears on it. When you go through the door, the timer will start. 5 of you can go through. Choose well. He turns and starts to walk away.
Are we gonna need brains or are we gonna need muscle for these?
I think we're going to need everything, including a loot.
Well, personally myself, I'm gonna be honest. I think the thing that we lack the most of here is brains.
I resemble that comment.
Macklin, don't take it personally. I want to go back in time, if you don't mind.
He winks at you.
And you are left in the sitting room alone.
Okay, well, this is a conundrum.
And he looks over to Alina, and he's like, "In no offense, but I think we have plenty of muscle."
She nods. Honestly, V would probably be the most experienced out of either of us, or all of us, rather.
I was thinking that myself, the one of books.
I glance between V and Alina. Don't say anything.
Macklin nods. I'm in agreement, Si.
Thalian looks over to V. Any thoughts?
This was most likely the outcome Almiko was looking for when she sent me along in the first place.
Well, her field of study is fate and chance. Perhaps you are the additional factor needed to tip the odds in our favor.
Very well.
Are you sure you don't want to go back in time? I mean, smack the shit out of your dumb self when you're younger?
Let's just stick to the plan.
Yes, I believe Howard just said that only the four of us would go back. But if you want us to smack your younger self, we can gladly do that for you.
I would be more than happy to smack yourself.
Thank you for the offer in the spirit which it was intended, but I don't think it needs any help. At least, not getting smacked around.
Well, perhaps investment suggestions then. Horse racing? Lucky numbers?
I'll consider it as we go through and let you know.
Macklin smiles, stands, dusts himself off, and makes his way toward the door.
Thalian grabs Macklin.
He stands outside the door. He waits there.
I know how you feel about touching things, but I think maybe this time you shouldn't.
Are you saying you don't want me to touch the blue thing?
No, I'm not saying the blue thing. I'm saying the door in case there's something behind it that might burn you, shoot you, stick you.
Do you think our kind host Harrison would set up a trap door into his gauntlet
Yes.
of terrors? That would be quite rude of him, wouldn't it?
It's almost like he's a mad magician.
We didn't ask him if we'd get to say goodbye to those we leave behind in this room.
So
That
say
is-
goodbye.
That is, we didn't ask if we'd see them again before he sends us away.
I would assume not. Alina kind of stands. At least, not like this.
Cure stands slowly as well. Well, for what it's worth, though I would trust having an extra sword at my back, I dare say that intelligence is one thing our party generally lacks, so Perhaps it would be best to augment our assets in that field.
She smiles a little bit at you. Well, I remember my mother once telling me that it takes a great deal of courage to let someone else take care of something for you. And she gives you a smile.
Cure blinks and kind of clears her throat and, yes, that is a very wise adage. Whoever said that was a very wise person.
She nods a little bit. I generally think so.
I glance back at her and sigh and step forward to hug her.
And she smiles and gives you a tight hug back. Before you leave, you should take this. And she offers you her sword.
Cure's very, very still for a moment. Are you certain?
Well, what am I going to do with it as a 5-year-old?
I will do my best to ensure it never reaches your hands.
That
And I
doesn't sound
take
fair.
the sword almost reverently.
And she looks to Macklin. Oh, Macklin, keep them in line, will you? And she tosses you, Macklin, the little metal sphere she had used on ice.
Oh, he clutches it and nods toward her.
I can think of 3 or 4 uses for this, yes. I'll do that.
I swear, Macklin, if you ever entrap me in that ball, do not release me.
Well, so long as you stay in line, that shouldn't be a problem, should it?
No problem, Shorty.
He chuckles to that before looking back toward the two that they're leaving behind.
Before we go, on the off chance that things don't get reset, keep an eye out for Corin, would you? And make sure Birch doesn't get in trouble.
They, both of them nod in unison, and Ghost just kind of waves the thought off with an, of course, kind of sign.
He inclines his head.
So, Ghost actually kneels next to you, Macklin, and takes off a ring and puts it around your finger.
He looks the ring over.
It is a ring of Misty Step.
Oh.
Get out of jail free card.
You can cast Misty Step as a once per day, once per long rest.
No kidding.
And you notice that they're starting to take off their gear. To you, Felion, Alina kind of looks you over. Trying to figure out, are you in decent health or not? And she kind of just looks you over. What's your con score there?
It's 15.
Okay. And she shakes her head. Not nearly enough. And she takes her necklace off and gives it to you.
Oh?
You now have an amulet of health.
Oh.
Your con score is now 19.
Oh.
Whoa.
And to you, ice. Nika smiles and hands you 7 beads.
I take the beads and kind of frown at them for a second, and then look up at her and just pull her into a deep hug.
And she smiles and hugs you back.
So if we don't even make it past the first room, if we just get past the first room, how do we not get killed by you in just the near past?
Don't sneak up on us. Actually, maybe just find Ilya first.
And how many years ago did you find Cassandra in the Shadowfell running away from Grog?
Oh, that makes Cure pause a moment.
Give me a second. Gotta look at my notes.
Keep those notes out, because Cure has a follow-up question.
Okay. God damn it. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't write the. Thank you, Drive. Four months.
4 months ago?
No, 4 months after you disappeared. That's when Mother went to the Shadowfell and found Cassandra and Barovia.
Okay. Okay, so Costumate Jacob. We have to get back there. Is there any?
What was the
Who killed
date
Gran?
that Jacob betrayed Whitestone to Vecna?
Sorry, you guys were all talking at once.
I'll let the first question go through first. Cure's question go through first.
Cure looks to Alina and Nika and asks them, what was the date of Jacob's betrayal of Whitestone to Vecna?
Oh, the date that the city actually fell. Alina kind of thinks, and Nika actually is the one that answers. Let's see, would have been a year and 2 months. So you all disappeared in Duskar. It was the day after the day of challenging, so Musuthar the 8th.
Can you type that in Roll20?
Yep. God damn you, Matthew Mercer.
Ice says very deadpan, emotionless. He just says, yes, that is the day he officially turned. But you don't turn like that unless you've already been building up to turn. As we've seen with the doings of the hand, you line things up, you put it in place, and then when the time is right, you strike. His treachery was there long before that day. He is dying. And then I look up who killed Gren and when.
Gren died in the battle. Alina kind of shrugs. Unfortunately, you're asking. I mean, we were both. Well, our caravan got attacked, and we were fighting ourselves, honestly.
Just looking for any information that's going to help us.
You said a little more than a year after we disappeared, Whitestone fell.
Yes.
A year.
But Whitestone was already falling 6 months prior. We really need to get back to the moment we left.
It wasn't falling. The agricultural outposts were being attacked and overrun. Alina kind of notes.
Yes, the infrastructure was falling, which then, if you're in a town, a large city, a fortification, and they cut off your supply line, they choke you out. 6 months.
I'm just pointing out that if your choice is continue on and die and don't go back at all, or to go back a little bit late, then go back late.
We all have reasons to push. 21 rooms. Anything less, and we failed.
Alina rolls her eyes openly at you.
I don't think that's the way it works, my friend. We'll decide when we get in.
I would like to save some people and end some people and do things the best way. I'm going for all 21 rooms.
Well, the goal is to get back to our time period, so...
Let's see how this goes. We haven't even stepped forth into the doorway yet.
Well, if it looks like we're all getting ready to go through the door, I'll give Alina one more hug.
And she hugs you back. Look, even if you just go back a year, you'll be saving us a lot of grief.
We'll make things right. I promise you.
Just think tactically, please. No, that's pot calling the kettle black and all, but please.
Oh, I always think tactically. I've been told I have a problem thinking strategically, but tactically I can do. I pull my mask up to give her a little half smile.
And she steps back and nods to you. Alright, get going. Fix all of this nonsense.
Take a deep breath, pull my mask back down.
Thalian gives them polite nods and walks up to the door. Well, be prepared for some of the dumbest shit you're about to ever see. And he opens the door.
Okay. And as you open the door to the first room, we're going to call it for tonight.
Alright.